Alright, in today's video, let's talk about percentage-based training, so let's get started right away. Now, what percentage-based training actually is a way to select the appropriate weight for your working sets in your workouts, working off of a percentage of your 1 rep max. And you do this based on the rep range that you want to work in and the amount of effort that you want to put in that specific set, in that specific workout. And everything starts off with this chart. This essentially is the ratio between your 1 rep max and your 2 all the way up to your 15 rep max, shown in a percentage of your 1 rep max. You can use this to predict how hard a certain weight is going to be, and you can use that information to then select the right amount of weight for your working sets. And by the way, if you're training weighted calisthenics, it's very important to add your own body weight to the weight that you're lifting to still make those percentages work. This only goes for beginners and intermediates, because once you actually become advanced and you're dipping 120 kilograms and once you're pulling like 4-5 plates, you actually no longer add your body weight to actually make those percentages work. But as the vast majority of the people that watch my videos are beginners or intermediates, I'm gonna still say add your body weight to actually make those percentages work. Now, when looking at this chart, there are a couple of things that you have to keep in mind. These percentages are made for the vast majority of people, and they will differ from person to person and from exercise to exercise. Percentages differ between different people based on their genetic build, their training preference, and also their training history. So let's say, for example, someone that has really focused on strength for the vast majority of their training career, for those people, a theoretical 15 rep max will probably end up being a 10 rep max. And also for some people that really focused on endurance work and hypertrophy work, a theoretical 10 rep max could be a 15 rep max. So it really depends a lot on their genetic build, training preference, and also the training history. These percentages also differ between different exercises, because long term the same percentages that work for your pull-ups probably won't work for your dips and the other way around. And so long term you kind of have to adjust as you go and try and find the right percentages for the right exercises. And now that we have covered this, now let's actually talk about how to use percentage-based training for your own training programming. Now, there are two main ways to use this. First of all, to calculate the right working weights for your working sets, and the second thing is calculating an estimated 1 rep max without actually having to test your 1 rep max. First of all, we're gonna talk about how to actually use this to calculate the right working weight. And this is really the main use of percentage-based training. Whenever you train, it's very important to select the correct amount of weight to work in the right rep range at the right intensity that you want to work in for that day. And percentage-based training gives you a way to do this by working off of a percentage of your 1 rep max. So let's look at an example and try to select the right amount of working weight for sets of 10 across. So a 3x10 on 50% will be very easy, probably something you would do at the start of a mesocycle where you're really trying to keep the quality high and the intensity relatively low. A 3x10 on 65 kilograms will be kind of medium difficulty, probably the highest amount of weight that you're going to be able to do 4 sets of 10 across, and a 3x10 on 75% is simply impossible, since you really cannot do your 10 rep max for sets across. And this goes for every single rep range. So the maximum amount of weight that you're going to use for a 5x5 is probably going to be about 80%, or a 8 rep max. The highest amount of weight that you're going to be doing for a 3x3 is probably going to be 85%, or a 5 rep max. And the highest weight you'll use for single sets across is probably going to be 90%, which is about a 3 or a 4 rep max. So if you're going to do sets across, you always do that leaving about 2 or 3 reps in reserve, as this is the only way to ensure that you're actually going to finish those sets with proper form. And now let's take a look on how that actually works throughout a mesocycle. So let's say we're doing a 5x5 program and we're doing a 3-week mesocycle. On week 1, we're going to be doing a 5x5 at about 60%, which is relatively easy and kind of a nice way to actually start off a mesocycle with very high quality, very low intensity sets. Secondly, we're going to jump up to a 70% 5x5, which is going to be a lot more difficult, but like still doable. And then on week 3, we're going to be doing a 5x5 at about 80%, which is like about as much weight as you're going to be able to do for a 5x5. So throughout the mesocycle, intensity increases and also weight increases, giving yourself the ebb and flow of training. And then one more example, let's say that we're trying to determine at what weight that we're going to start off a linear or a step loading program. If we start off with sets of 10, it's probably a good idea to start off at about 65%, which is about a 15 rep max, so leaving ourselves a nice amount of room to improve after our first workouts. So those are a couple of ways to actually use percentage-based training in your training program, but you can also use percentage-based training to calculate your estimated 1 rep max based on an MRAP at any given weight. One example where you actually use this towards the end of every single mesocycle is the Juggernaut program, which actually is a wave program that I've talked about in previous videos. So on your mesocycle, where you really focus on your sets of 10, you're start off with a 5x10 on 60%. Second week is going to be a 3x10 on 67.5%, and then week 3 is going to be an AMRAP at 75%, or probably something very close to a 10 rep max. And the way this actually works is by calculating your 1 rep max based on your 10 rep max on your 3rd week. That is actually the way that you're going to use to calculate the working weight for the next mesocycle. So if I was to do an AMRAP at 13.75 kilograms, like I actually did a couple of weeks ago, and I got 10 reps out, that would provide me with an estimated 1 rep max as shown on screen. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's definitely going to be like close enough, and definitely my 1 rep max will be there or thereabouts. And that is pretty much all I want to talk about in today's video. If you have any more questions regarding percentage-based training, leave them down below in the description. And for now, let's actually finish off today's video. So as always, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already, and share the video. Any more video ideas, questions, or advice, leave it down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Latest.